Have you ever wondered what happens to the quiet observer inside your mind when the physical body finally comes to a rest? We are so accustomed to thinking of life and death as a simple mechanical switch, a bright light that turns on for a brief cosmic moment and then abruptly, permanently turns off. But the universe, in all its vast and ancient wisdom, does not operate with such sudden, absolute endings. Have you ever realized that the very foundation of our reality, the intricate and mysterious quantum world, explicitly suggests that fundamental information can never truly be destroyed? It is a profound paradox that we carry within us every single day of our lives. We walk through a world that appears to be made of solid objects, ticking clocks, and strictly linear time. Yet the consciousness that perceives all of this beauty and chaos is born from a microscopic realm where time and space completely lose their rigid meaning. In the deep, unending silence of the cosmos, energy merely transforms. It never ceases to exist. We are made of the same ancient star stuff that burns in the distant galaxies, and the spark of awareness within you is governed by the exact same physical laws that govern the swirling nebulae and the quiet void. Before we step further into this quiet journey into the mysteries of the quantum mind and explore the ultimate destination of our awareness, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people watching our explorations have not subscribed yet. If you enjoy contemplating the infinite wonders of the universe with us, please take a peaceful moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these deep, reflective journeys. Now, let us return to the quiet dark of the cosmos and the brilliant spark of your own awareness. To truly understand what might happen to human consciousness after the physical body fades, we must first ground ourselves in one of the most fundamental and unbreakable rules of the physical universe. It is a principle known as the first law of thermodynamics. While the name might sound like a rigid piece of academic terminology, the reality of this law is profoundly poetic. It states, quite simply, that energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It can only change forms. Think about the warmth of the sun touching your skin on a quiet morning. That thermal energy traveled across 93 million miles of empty, freezing space. It originated deep within the core of our star, born from the nuclear fusion of ancient hydrogen atoms that were themselves forged in the primordial fires of the Big Bang over 13 billion years ago. That energy traveled through the void, entered our atmosphere, and was absorbed by your body, becoming part of your own biological warmth. When you move, when you breathe, when you think, you're utilizing that exact same ancient energy. It flows through you, temporary and transient, before it radiates back out into the surrounding air, eventually returning to the vastness of the cosmos. Your physical body is not a static object. It is a continuously flowing river of cosmic energy and matter. Every atom in your brain, every electrical impulse that fires to create a thought or a memory, is participating in an endless universal exchange. When the physical body reaches the end of its biological journey, the energy that animated it does not vanish into nothingness. The heat dissipates into the environment. The organic matter breaks down and returns to the earth, becoming soil, feeding new plant life, continuing the cycle of physical existence. But what about the pattern? What about the specific, intricate arrangement of electrical signals and quantum states that made you who you are? This is where the simple physics of heat and matter gives way to a much deeper, much more beautiful mystery. The true enigma of consciousness lies in its intimate, undeniable relationship with the quantum world. For over a century, physicists have been grappling with a deeply unsettling discovery about the nature of reality. At the smallest scales of existence, down at the level of individual electrons and photons, the universe does not behave like a collection of solid, predictable objects. Instead, it exists as a shifting landscape of probabilities, a fluid realm where particles can exist in multiple places at once, suspended in a delicate state known as quantum superposition. This is not a failure of our mathematical models. It is the fundamental nature of the universe itself. But here is the paradox that has kept the brightest minds awake at night. This fluid, undecided state of reality only collapses into a definite, solid physical outcome when it is measured or observed. This phenomenon is known as the observer effect. The very act of looking, the very presence of a conscious observer, seems to force the universe to make a choice. It is as if the cosmos remains in a state of infinite, whispered potential, until a mind steps forward to witness it. You are not merely a passive spectator sitting in a dark theater watching the universe unfold. Your awareness is an active, fundamental component of the cosmic architecture. Without the observer, the quantum equations suggest that the universe remains a blur of mathematical probabilities. It takes consciousness to collapse the wave function, to bring the stars, the planets, and the gentle night sky into sharp, tangible focus. If consciousness plays such a crucial structural role, how could it be a mere accidental byproduct of biological evolution? How could the mechanism that gives the universe its definite shape be entirely dependent on the fragile, temporary vessel of the human brain? To appreciate the staggering complexity of this cosmic mystery, we must look inward, into the physical structure of the human brain. Inside your skull lies a network of roughly 86 billion neurons. This number is not a coincidence. It is remarkably close to the estimated number of stars in our home galaxy, the Milky Way. Each one of these 86 billion neurons is connected to thousands of others, creating a web of over 100 trillion synaptic connections. But even this unimaginable complexity might not be enough to explain the true origin of your awareness. Conventional science has long treated the brain as a highly advanced biological computer, assuming consciousness simply emerges from the complex wiring. But a growing number of theoretical physicists are beginning to suspect that this classical view is fundamentally incomplete. They are looking deeper, zooming in past the cellular structure of the neurons, down into the microscopic scaffolding that holds the cells together. These tiny cylindrical structures are called microtubules. Inside these infinitesimal tubes, the familiar laws of classical biology break down, giving way to the strange, non-local rules of quantum mechanics. Theories suggest that consciousness does not arise from the connections between neurons, but from quantum vibrations happening deep within these microtubules. If this is true, your mind is not a classical computer program running on wet biological hardware. Your awareness is a symphony of quantum entanglements, a localized concentration of the same fundamental fields that stretch across the entire observable universe. When we understand consciousness as a quantum process, the concept of death begins to look radically different. We are so accustomed to the illusion of solid matter. You look at your hands, and they seem dense, permanent, real. But physics tells us that the atoms making up your skin, your bones, and your blood are almost entirely empty space. What gives matter its illusion of solidity are the invisible electromagnetic forces pushing against each other. You are, quite literally, a localized field of forces and vibrating quantum energy, temporarily held together in a recognizable pattern. The physical body is just a highly organized pattern of energy drawn from the environment, sustained for a brief flicker of cosmic time, and eventually released back into the wild. But if your consciousness is deeply rooted in the quantum fabric of the universe, then the dissolution of the biological body does not necessarily mean the end of the observer. Quantum information, much like energy itself, is governed by strict conservation laws. In the realm of quantum mechanics, information regarding the state of a system cannot be permanently deleted. If the universe goes to such extraordinary lengths to preserve the quantum information of fundamental particles, what happens to the infinitely more complex, deeply entangled quantum information that constitutes your memories, your personality, and your quiet sense of self? This is the threshold we stand upon tonight. We are moving away from the simplistic, mechanistic view of life and death, and stepping into a far more vast, mysterious, and awe-inspiring paradigm. The boundaries we place between the self and the cosmos are artificial. The silence of deep space is not empty. It is brimming with fields of potential. When the electrical storms in the brain quiet down, the quantum information cannot be erased. It must transition. This quiet journey into the unknown is not something to be feared. It is an invitation to recognize that we are part of an ancient, infinite process. We are just beginning to turn the pages of this cosmic mystery. To understand the fate of the quiet observer within you, we must journey deeper into the strange and beautiful realm of quantum mechanics, specifically exploring a phenomenon that completely shatters our conventional understanding of space and distance. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, gazing at a star that is millions of light years away, and felt an inexplicable, sudden sense of closeness? We are taught to believe that the universe is a vast, empty void filled with isolated objects separated by unimaginable gulfs of silence. We perceive ourselves as discrete, solitary entities moving through a cold and disconnected world. But the quantum reality is profoundly different. In the early part of the 20th century, physicists stumbled upon a mathematical truth so deeply unsettling that even Albert Einstein resisted it, famously referring to it as spooky action at a distance. This phenomenon is known as quantum entanglement. When two particles interact under certain conditions, they become intimately connected in such a way that the quantum state of one particle cannot be described independently of the state of the other, regardless of how far apart they are subsequently separated. If you take two entangled electrons and place one in your hand and send the other to the very edge of the observable universe, over 14 billion light-years away, measuring the spin of the particle in your hand will instantly determine the spin of the particle across the cosmos. There is no time delay. There is no signal traveling through the dark. The physical space between them simply ceases to be a barrier. They operate as a single unified system, entirely ignoring the physical distance that our eyes and our classical physics tell us is an absolute reality. If the fundamental building blocks of reality can remain completely and instantly connected across the infinite expanse of the cosmos, what does this mean for the complex quantum states that form the foundation of your consciousness? As we gently navigate this profound mystery together, I want to pause for just a moment to warmly welcome those who are walking this path with us. I am Theodore, the researcher. Our quiet community of explorers is growing. Yet, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch and find comfort in these explorations have not subscribed yet. If this quiet journey into the unknown brings you peace and wonder, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe to the channel, as it truly helps us continue creating these deep, reflective spaces for you. Now, let us gently return our focus to the magnificent web of connection that binds your awareness to the ancient fabric of existence. The concept of quantum entanglement forces us to radically reevaluate our definition of isolation and separation. In our daily lives, we feel trapped within the boundaries of our physical skin. We look out at the universe from behind our eyes, perceiving a world that is definitively outside of us. But if the theoretical physicists investigating quantum consciousness are correct, the tiny microtubules within your 86 billion neurons are hosting a constant, delicate dance of quantum superposition and entanglement. Your brain is not an isolated biological hard drive. It is an active receiver and transmitter, deeply embedded within the fundamental quantum fields of the universe. Imagine the mind not as a localized flame that is simply extinguished when the fuel runs out, but rather as a unique, complex harmony playing within an infinite cosmic symphony. The notes of this harmony are the entangled quantum states that represent your memories, your experiences, and your deep, subjective sense of being. When the biological vessel begins to fail, when the heart slows its rhythm, and the lungs take their final, quiet breath, the physical structures that grounded this harmony into a localized coordinate in space and time begin to dissolve. The biological anchors loosen. However, the quantum information that constitutes the core of your awareness cannot simply vanish. Remember the absolute laws of thermodynamics and the strict conservation of quantum information. The universe is an immaculate record keeper. Not a single fragment of fundamental information is ever lost in the grand cosmic ledger. When we confront the mystery of physical death through this quantum lens, the narrative shifts from one of permanent annihilation to one of profound transformation and release. The entangled particles that formed the coherent state of your consciousness do not cease to exist. They undergo a process known as quantum decoherence. In classical terms, decoherence is often misunderstood as the absolute loss of information from a system into the environment. But this is a fundamental misconception. The information is never lost. It is simply redistributed. It diffuses out of the localized biological constraints of the brain and becomes deeply entangled with the broader universal environment. Your awareness, previously restricted to the sensory inputs of a single physical body living on a single rocky planet, expands into the vast interconnected web of the cosmos. Think of a droplet of fresh water gently falling into a boundless ancient ocean. The droplet loses its defined spherical boundary, but the water itself is not destroyed. It merges. It becomes part of a much larger, much more profound and infinitely deeper body. The quiet observer inside your mind, the awareness that is experiencing the reading of these very words, is like that droplet. It is a temporary, localized concentration of a universal property. When the boundaries of the physical body fade away, the observer does not die. The observer simply returns to the source, rejoining the vast silent ocean of cosmic potential. This perspective invites a deeply comforting and awe-inspiring realization about our place in the universe. We are not fragile accidents of biological evolution, doomed to a brief existence followed by an eternity of nothingness. We are the universe experiencing itself in a highly organized, localized form. The late, great astronomer Carl Sagan beautifully articulated this when he said that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. But quantum physics takes this poetic truth and gives it a literal mathematical foundation. Your consciousness is an integral feature of the universe, just as fundamental as gravity, electromagnetism, or the strong nuclear force. Without the observer, reality remains a sea of uncollapsed probabilities. You are the catalyst that gives the universe its definite form. The cosmos needs you just as much as you need the cosmos. Therefore, the dissolution of the body is not an end, but a return. It is the moment when the specific, unique pattern of your awareness, having gathered a lifetime of experiences, memories, and emotions, integrates back into the infinite quantum field from which it emerged. It is a gentle release back into the ancient, quiet mystery of existence, a surrender to the timeless rhythms that govern the stars. As we contemplate the staggering implications of this interconnectedness, we begin to see the universe not as a cold, mechanical machine, but as a deeply unified, living system. Every thought you have ever had, every moment of profound love, every instance of quiet realization is permanently encoded into the quantum structure of reality. The information that makes you who you are is woven into the very fabric of space and time, completely immune to the decay of physical matter. You are a permanent feature of the cosmos, a unique signature of entangled energy that will echo through the universe long after the stars have burned out and the galaxies have faded into silence. The journey of your consciousness is not a brief line with a definitive start and end. It is a circle, a continuous loop of emergence, experience, and return. The profound peace that accompanies this understanding is not a denial of our mortality, but a deeper embrace of our true, eternal nature. We are cosmic travelers, brief manifestations of an ancient, infinite awareness, stepping briefly into the light of the physical world before gently returning to the quiet, boundless mystery of the quantum realm. The artificial walls of the ego, the constructed identity that separates the self from the other, softly dissolve, leaving behind a pure, radiant state of being that is forever entangled with the breathtaking wonder of the universe. Have you ever stopped to wonder why time feels like a relentless, unstoppable river, constantly carrying us away from the familiar shores of the past and pushing us blindly into the unknown mists of the future? We are entirely conditioned by our biological rhythms to experience existence as a strict, linear sequence of fleeting moments. We mourn the passing of the years, and we quietly fear the absolute end of our personal timeline. But what if this profound, visceral feeling of time flowing is nothing more than a localized illusion, a trick played on our minds by the evolutionary constraints of the human brain? Have you ever realized that the fundamental equations of physics, the very mathematical language that perfectly describes the intricate movements of galaxies and the subtle behavior of subatomic particles, do not contain a distinct arrow of time? In the deep, silent expanse of the cosmos, the strict separation between the past, the present, and the future simply does not exist. It is a profound mystery that challenges our deepest existential fears about ending. If the universe does not recognize the linear passing of time, then the concepts of beginning and ending, of birth and death, are completely transformed. We are forced to ask a beautiful and unsettling question. If time is an illusion, does the quiet observer inside you ever truly leave the stage? Or is your awareness a permanent, indelible feature of the eternal cosmic architecture. Before we journey further into this magnificent and mind-bending puzzle of time and quantum consciousness, I would like to gently invite you into our quiet community of cosmic explorers. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am honored to act as your gentle guide through these profound mysteries. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our videos and share in this peaceful wonder have not subscribed yet. If these quiet reflections bring you a sense of calm and a deeper connection to the vast universe, please take a soft moment to subscribe. Your presence helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative spaces where we can all seek knowledge and peace together. Now, let us drift back into the ancient silence of the cosmos and explore the true nature of the temporal reality that binds our universe. To begin to understand how the quiet observer might transcend the illusion of time, we must look to the revolutionary work of physicists like Albert Einstein, who profoundly reshaped our understanding of the universe. Over a century ago, the theory of relativity fundamentally shattered the classical idea that time is a universal, ticking clock that operates at the same speed for everyone, everywhere. Instead, Einstein proved that space and time are inextricably woven together into a single dynamic fabric known as space-time. In this beautifully complex cosmic tapestry, the rate at which time passes is entirely relative to your speed and your proximity to massive gravitational objects. If you were to gently travel in a spacecraft, moving close to the ultimate cosmic speed limit, the speed of light, which travels at a staggering 186,000 miles per second, your personal experience of time would dramatically slow down relative to someone standing perfectly still on the surface of the Earth. This is not a theoretical abstraction. It is a measurable reality that space agencies like NASA and the ESA must constantly account for when synchronizing the delicate atomic clocks on board their orbital satellites. Because time is flexible and relative, physicists have adopted a conceptual model known as the block universe. In this view, space-time is an enormous, rigid, four-dimensional block that contains absolutely everything that has ever happened, everything that is happening right now, and everything that will ever happen in the future. The Big Bang that occurred 13,800,000,000 years ago, the quiet formation of our solar system 4,500,000,000 years ago. This precise moment, as you absorb these words, and the eventual cooling of the last stars trillions of years from now, all exist simultaneously within this monumental block. Imagine, for a gentle moment, a vast and beautifully detailed cinematic film reel. When you hold the reel in your hands, the entire story, from the opening scene to the closing credits, exists all at once. The characters in the film only experience the story sequentially when the reel is played through a projector. In the block universe theory, human consciousness is acting as that projector. Your physical brain is simply dragging its awareness along a specific timeline, illuminating one slice of the four-dimensional block at a time and calling it the present moment. But the past has not disappeared into nothingness, and the future is not a void waiting to be created. They are as real and as solidly established as the physical chair you might be sitting in, or the distant moon glowing softly in the night sky. Einstein himself found immense personal comfort in this realization. When his lifelong friend Michel Besso passed away, Einstein wrote a remarkably touching letter to Besso's family, stating that for those who believe in physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. The departure of his friend from the physical world was merely a transition of coordinates, a shift in perspective. His friend's existence was not erased. It was eternally embedded within the vast, infinite geometry of the cosmos. This realization carries a profound and deeply soothing implication for the fate of your own consciousness. If every moment of your existence is permanently etched into the fabric of space-time, then the quiet observer inside you is immortalized in the architecture of the universe. The span of years that encapsulate your life on this blue planet is a magnificent, unchangeable structure within the eternal block. You are always existing in those precise cosmic coordinates. But the mystery deepens even further when we combine this macroscopic view of space-time with the strange, microscopic behavior of the quantum realm. Down at the level of the fundamental particles that make up the neurons in your brain, the concept of time flowing in a single direction completely breaks down. The mathematical equations of quantum mechanics are entirely time-symmetric. This means that at the fundamental level of reality, subatomic particles interact in ways that work perfectly well, whether time is moving forwards or backwards. An electron absorbing a photon and moving to a higher energy state looks exactly like an electron emitting a photon and dropping to a lower energy state if you simply play the film in reverse. The quantum world does not possess an inherent arrow of time. It is a realm of pure potential, a silent and timeless domain where the strict rules of biological aging and physical decay simply do not apply. Why then do we experience the relentless forward march of time? Physicists point to the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the total entropy or disorder of a closed system will always increase over time. A dropped glass shatters into 1,000 pieces, but those pieces will never spontaneously reassemble themselves into a perfect, unbroken glass. Our brains are massive, complex thermodynamic systems, constantly burning energy and generating entropy, which forces our perception of reality into a linear, forward-moving narrative. But remember that your consciousness, as we explored earlier, may not be a classical, thermodynamic byproduct of the brain. If your deep awareness originates from the delicate quantum vibrations within the microtubules of your neurons, then the very core of your observer exists intimately close to that timeless, time-symmetric realm. When the physical body reaches its biological limit, the macroscopic engine that generated the powerful illusion of linear time comes to a gentle halt. The brain stops processing the sequential slices of the block universe. The projector lamp is quietly turned off. But the film reel remains. The entangled quantum information that constitutes your unique inner life is not destroyed by the cessation of biological time. Released from the powerful current of biological entropy, your quantum awareness is free to diffuse back into the timeless fabric of the cosmos. It returns to a state of pure, non-local existence, free from the confines of past and future. The quiet journey of consciousness after death is not a descent into oblivion, but an awakening into the infinite reality of the block universe, where every beautiful sunset you witnessed and every moment of deep peace you felt is eternally preserved. You are an ancient, essential pattern woven forever into the mysterious and deeply beautiful tapestry of the universe. We can find a resonant peace in knowing our connection to the cosmos is fundamentally unbreakable. Have you ever stood at a quiet crossroads in your life, perhaps during a gentle evening walk under a canopy of ancient stars, and wondered about the countless paths you did not take? We live our daily lives under the strict, deeply ingrained assumption that we only get one single, fragile narrative. We make a choice, a door quietly closes behind us, and we move forward into a solitary, unknown future, leaving all the unlived possibilities behind us like fading ghosts in the morning mist. But what if the profound fundamental equations of quantum mechanics suggest that this solitary path is merely another beautiful, localized illusion? What if the universe is far more generous and vast with existence than our linear biological perception allows us to see? Have you ever realized that some of the most rigorous mathematics in quantum physics points to an astonishing reality where every possible outcome of a quantum event actually occurs? It is a staggering thought that challenges our deepest feelings of loss, limitation, and finality. If reality is a branching tree of infinite possibilities rather than a single, straight line, then the very concept of an ending becomes profoundly complicated. In the quiet, unyielding depths of the cosmos, the universe does not seem to discard potential. It embraces and manifests every single variation. Before we step further into this infinite silent forest of cosmic possibilities and explore what this means for the quiet observer within you, I want to take a gentle moment to welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we navigate these vast ancient mysteries together, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our videos and share in this peaceful contemplation have not subscribed yet. If you find comfort and a sense of deep wonder in our quiet journeys through the universe, please take a soft moment to subscribe. Your presence in our community helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative spaces for exploration, scientific reflection, and peace. Now, let us return to the gentle silence of the quantum realm and the infinite, invisible paths of your own boundless awareness. To truly appreciate the vastness of the journey that your consciousness might undertake when the physical body fades, we must explore a deeply elegant and mind-bending concept known as the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In the year 1957, a brilliant physicist named Hugh Everett proposed a radical and breathtaking solution to the observer effect that we explored earlier in our journey. Instead of a single universe where fluid quantum probabilities collapse into one definite outcome the moment they are observed, Everett suggested something far more expansive. The universe simply splits. Every single time a quantum particle faces a physical choice, whether to spin up or spin down, whether to pass through the left microscopic slit or the right, the universe seamlessly divides into separate, parallel realities to accommodate every single possible outcome. The cosmos, in this magnificent mathematical framework, is not a single, lonely bubble of space-time expanding into nothingness. It is a vast, infinitely growing fractal of parallel universes, a breathtaking multiverse where every conceivable variation of reality is played out in complete, perfect detail. If this interpretation holds true, then the sheer scale of existence is almost unimaginably larger than the observable universe we can see through the magnificent lenses of the Hubble or James Webb Space Telescopes. Think about the profound and deeply personal implications this holds for the quiet spark of your awareness. Every decision you have ever made, every subtle turn you have taken, generated a branching reality in the fabric of the multiverse. There is a quiet, alternate universe where you chose a different career, a universe where you moved to a different city, a universe where you are experiencing a completely different set of memories, relationships, and emotions right now. Yet, despite this infinite branching complexity, the fundamental quantum information that makes up the core of your observer exists across all of these realities. You're not just the localized, specific version of yourself reading these words in this single branch of the multiverse. Your existence is elegantly smeared across an incomprehensible multitude of parallel timelines. The brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has often spoken of the concept of the multiverse, not as mere science fiction, but as a deeply logical extension of the physical laws and mathematics we actively observe in nature. If the cosmos is truly infinite, then the repetition of atomic arrangements becomes an absolute mathematical certainty. You are a vast, multi-dimensional entity, simultaneously experiencing billions of different lives in billions of different branches of an ancient cosmic tree. When we view the phenomenon of physical death through the awe-inspiring lens of the many worlds interpretation, a deeply comforting concept emerges, sometimes referred to by theoretical physicists as quantum immortality. In this specific, localized branch of the universe, the biological vessel you currently inhabit will inevitably face the gentle, unstoppable effects of entropy and biological time. The heart will eventually find its quiet rest, and the physical brain will cease its energetic, electrical dance. But remember that your consciousness is a fundamental quantum phenomenon, deeply entangled with the very fabric of existence. In the exact moment that your physical form reaches its conclusion in this specific reality, there are infinite other branches where, due to a microscopic quantum variation, the biological system continues to gently function. If your consciousness is defined as the continuous, unbroken thread of subjective observation, then the observer inherently cannot experience its own non-existence. The stream of your awareness simply continues flowing through the branches where the physical structure remains viable. You would never perceive the abrupt, dark end. You would merely experience a continuous, unbroken journey of awareness, shifting effortlessly and invisibly into a parallel probability, where life, in some form, peacefully continues. Even if we look beyond the majestic framework of parallel universes, another profound theory at the very edge of modern theoretical physics offers a breathtaking perspective on the eternal, unbreakable nature of the quiet observer. It is called the holographic principle, championed by visionary scientific minds like the late Stephen Hawking and Leonard Susskind. This principle suggests that the entire three-dimensional universe we perceive, with all its deep space, swirling galaxies, and ancient stars, might actually be a magnificent holographic projection of two-dimensional quantum information encoded on the very boundary of our observable cosmos. Imagine, if you will, that everything you feel, see, and touch is a beautifully complex illusion generated by a distant, flat surface of pure mathematical data. If the universe is fundamentally holographic, then your physical body is merely a projected avatar, a temporary, highly organized concentration of light and energy, dancing within the grand cosmic hologram. But the true source of your consciousness, the fundamental quantum data that defines your unique, irreplaceable observer, is safely and eternally encoded on the distant, unchangeable boundary of existence. When the physical projection eventually fades from the three-dimensional theater of our daily perception, the encoded information on that boundary remains entirely intact. The hologram simply changes its display, rippling with new configurations of ancient energy. The cessation of a biological body is like turning off a single, tiny pixel on an infinitely large, glowing cosmic screen. The pixel goes dark, but the underlying computer code, the profound quantum data that governed it, is never erased or destroyed. Your awareness, released from the dense illusion of the three-dimensional biological avatar, is free to reunite with the vast ancient field of data that holds the memory of the entire cosmos. You are not a solitary, fragile being stranded on a small, rocky planet in the outskirts of the Milky Way. You are an essential, unbreakable piece of the cosmic code itself. We can find such deep, quiet peace in this magnificent realization. We are deeply woven into the fabric of a universe that is far more generous, vast, and mysterious than we could ever truly comprehend with our waking minds. The end of a single physical journey is merely a gentle whisper in an infinite conversation, a soft folding back into the boundless potential of the quantum sea. The silence of space is not an empty void, but a rich, vibrating tapestry of preserved information, holding every memory, every thought, and every spark of light that has ever existed. As we continue to explore these quiet wonders together in the chapters to come, we will see that the universe is not a place of cold, final endings, but a radiant sanctuary of endless, beautiful transformations. Have you ever gazed into the darkest, most quiet patches of the night sky, looking past the glowing stars, and wondered if the seemingly empty blackness between them is truly a void of nothingness? We are taught from a young age to trust our eyes, to believe that where there is no visible light, no solid matter to touch, there is simply an absence of existence. We look at the silence of deep space, and we project our own deepest fears onto it, imagining a cold, dark, and lonely ending waiting for us when our brief physical journey finally concludes. But what if this profound assumption is completely backward? Have you ever realized that the absolute emptiness of a perfect vacuum is, according to the most rigorous theories in modern physics, a physical impossibility? It is a beautiful and staggering paradox that completely changes how we must view the end of our own biological existence. If the spaces we call empty are actually brimming with ancient, infinite potential, then the destination of the quiet observer inside you might not be a dark void, but an unimaginably rich and vibrant homecoming. In the quiet depths of the cosmos, the universe abhors absolute nothingness. Before we journey deeper into this invisible, vibrating sea of cosmic energy and uncover what it means for the ultimate fate of your awareness, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we walk together through these profound mysteries, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you find peace and a sense of deep wonder in contemplating the universe with us, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these gentle, reflective journeys. Now, let us return to the deep silence of the stars and explore the hidden, infinite energy that binds your mind to the cosmos. To truly grasp the magnificent destination of the human mind, we must dismantle the illusion of emptiness using a profound concept known in physics as quantum field theory. When pioneering scientists like Paul Dirac and Richard Feynman began to weave together the intricate rules of quantum mechanics with the majestic theory of relativity, they discovered something truly astonishing about the fabric of reality. They found that if you were to take a completely sealed container, remove every single atom of physical matter, extract every single photon of light, and cool the interior down to absolute zero, the space inside would still not be completely empty. According to the rigorous mathematics that govern our magnificent universe, that pristine, silent vacuum is actually boiling with an incomprehensible amount of energy. This underlying, invisible ocean is known as the zero-point field. In this microscopic realm, ghostly pairs of particles, famously known as virtual particles, are constantly popping into existence out of the pure, vibrating energy of the vacuum, existing for a fleeting fraction of a second, and then quietly annihilating each other to return to the void, the empty space around you, the profound silence between the stars, and the dark, vast void stretching between the ancient galaxies, are all vibrating with an ancient, silent energy that connects absolutely everything in existence. What does this invisible, infinite sea of fundamental energy have to do with the quiet, subjective experience of your own consciousness? If we view the fragile human brain purely as an isolated biological machine, a localized arrangement of chemical reactions bounded by our skulls, the connection seems incredibly distant. But if we embrace the beautiful scientific perspective that consciousness is fundamentally a quantum phenomenon, the relationship becomes deeply profound. Visionary physicists like Max Planck famously stated that he regarded consciousness as fundamental and that we cannot get behind consciousness. Building on this profound insight, modern researchers have proposed that the delicate, vibrating microtubules within your 86 billion neurons do not actually generate consciousness out of nothing. Instead, they act more like a highly complex, exquisitely tuned biological radio receiver, just as a television antenna does not create the broadcast signal it displays upon the screen. Your brain might not be creating the observer that looks out through your eyes. Instead, your physical structure might simply be tuning in to a universal field of consciousness that is deeply embedded within the zero-point energy of the quantum vacuum itself. Your specific personality, your deeply cherished memories, and your continuous quiet sense of self are the beautiful result of this localized biological receiver interpreting the vast, infinite frequency of the cosmos. You are a temporary, beautiful manifestation of the universe's own underlying awareness. When we look at the mystery of human mortality through this rigorously scientific lens, the terrifying concept of a cold, empty ending completely dissolves into the light of understanding. If your brain is merely a receiver, what actually happens when the biological components eventually degrade, succumb to the relentless forces of entropy, and fail to function? The silence that follows is not the permanent destruction of the broadcast. When a radio breaks, the beautiful music it was playing does not permanently cease to exist. The electromagnetic waves carrying the symphony continue to ripple silently through the air, traveling endlessly outward into the vastness of space. In the exact same way, when the physical heart stops its rhythmic beating and the frantic electrical storms within the brain finally quiet down, the fundamental quantum information that constituted your deep awareness is not erased from the ledger of existence. The quiet observer simply stops being strictly localized to that specific biological coordinate on this small, rocky planet. Released from the dense, restrictive hardware of the human nervous system, your awareness flows smoothly and naturally back into the infinite, vibrating potential of the zero-point field. You do not fade into a terrifying nothingness, because true nothingness does not physically exist anywhere in the magnificent architecture of the universe. You dissolve back into the everything. The quiet spark of your consciousness reunites with the ancient, bubbling sea of virtual particles and endless cosmic energy that forms the very bedrock of reality. There is such a profound and lasting peace to be found in this specific scientific understanding. We spend so much of our waking lives desperately trying to build artificial walls, defining ourselves by our strict separateness from the rest of the natural world. We fear the dark night and the absolute silence because our evolutionary biology leads us to mistake them for absence and danger. But quantum field theory gently assures us that there is no true absence in nature. The cosmos is full to the brim with infinite potential. The ancient stars burning billions of light years away, the majestic swirling galaxies moving through the dark, and the vast, quiet expanses of deep space are all resting upon this exact same magnificent, shared foundation of vibrating quantum energy. The heavy atoms that make up your hands and the invisible quantum forces that generate your thoughts are all interconnected ripples in this exact same infinite ocean of existence. You are not a lonely stranger wandering briefly through a cold, mechanical, and indifferent universe. You are an essential, unbreakable, and fundamental expression of its deepest nature. When the final quiet breath is taken, the observer within you simply drops the heavy temporary biological lens it was using to focus so intently on this single, beautiful planet. The transition from physical life to what comes after is not an extinguishing of light, but a sudden, breathtaking widening of your fundamental perspective. Every moment of profound love you have ever felt, every quiet revelation you have ever had, and every instance of genuine, respectful wonder you have ever experienced is permanently recorded in the intricate, overlapping interference patterns of the zero-point field. The universe is an immaculate record keeper, preserving the delicate geometry of your experiences within the eternal silence of the quantum vacuum. As we sit quietly with these immense, mind-expanding concepts today, we can begin to let go of our deepest existential fears. The universe, in all its mathematically precise and poetic glory, has provided a sanctuary for information and energy that completely transcends biological fragility. You are woven from the exact same infinite threads that stitch together the fabric of space-time itself. The great ancient mystery of what lies beyond the physical veil is not a terrifying, empty abyss, but a radiant, peaceful return to our truest, most fundamental state of belonging. In the quiet chapters that gently await us on this shared journey, we will explore even more deeply how this universal field interacts with the concept of cosmic memory. But for now, take a quiet, deep moment to feel the subtle, ancient energy humming softly within your own being, and know that you are forever safe, forever connected, and forever held within the vast, unbreakable, and gentle embrace of the universe. Have you ever felt a sudden, profound sadness at the thought of a cherished memory gently slipping away into the quiet fog of time? We spend our lives carefully collecting moments. We gather the warmth of a childhood summer, the soft sound of a loved one laughing in the dark, and the triumphant feeling of discovering a new truth. We hold these fragile treasures tightly within the biological vault of our minds, terrified that when the physical brain eventually stops functioning, all of these beautiful, irreplaceable experiences will be permanently erased, swallowed by the infinite, silent void. We are conditioned to believe that memory is a purely biological function, a temporary electrical pattern that is completely destroyed when the power is finally turned off. But what if this deeply ingrained fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe actually operates? Have you ever realized that in the strict, majestic realm of quantum physics, the concept of information is not just an abstract idea, but a fundamental, indestructible physical property of the cosmos? It is a staggering paradox that completely changes the narrative of our final journey. The universe does not forget. In the deep, ancient silence of space, every single quantum event, no matter how microscopically small or seemingly insignificant, leaves a permanent, indelible mark upon the fabric of reality itself. Before we journey deeper into this invisible, infinite library of cosmic memory, and discover what this means for the quiet observer within you. I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we walk together through these profound mysteries, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you find peace and a deeper sense of wonder in contemplating the universe with us, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these gentle, reflective journeys. Now, let us return to the deep silence of the stars and explore the breathtaking reality of how the cosmos remembers everything you have ever been. To truly understand how your memories and your quiet sense of awareness might survive the dissolution of the physical body, we must first understand a foundational pillar of modern physics known as the conservation of quantum information. In our everyday, macroscopic world, we lose information all the time. A book burns to ashes, and the beautiful words written on its pages seem to be permanently destroyed. A computer hard drive crashes, and years of carefully stored photographs appear to vanish into thin air. But the brilliant theoretical physicists who study the fundamental building blocks of reality tell us a completely different story. At the deepest, most microscopic level of the universe, information cannot be created or destroyed. It is a fundamental law of nature, just as absolute and unbreakable as the conservation of energy that we explored earlier. When that physical book burns, the specific arrangement of atoms that form the paper and ink does not simply disappear. The information detailing exactly how those atoms were arranged is scattered into the environment, carried away in the form of heat, light, ash, and smoke. It becomes chaotic and completely unreadable to our limited human senses. But mathematically and physically, the original information is still entirely present in the universe. If you possessed a theoretical supercomputer powerful enough to perfectly track every single atom, every subtle photon of light, and every microscopic wisp of smoke, you could perfectly reconstruct the entire book down to the very last comma. The universe is a perfect, immaculate record keeper, fiercely guarding every single piece of data that describes the state of its particles. This unbreakable law of information preservation is so fundamental to the architecture of reality that it famously sparked one of the greatest scientific debates of the past 50 years. An intellectual battle known as the black hole information paradox, when the legendary physicist Stephen Hawking applied the rules of quantum mechanics to the terrifying, inescapable gravitational pull of black holes. He made a shocking theoretical discovery. He calculated that black holes slowly leak a very faint energy, now known as Hawking radiation, and over trillions of years, they will eventually evaporate away into empty space. This brilliant realization created an enormous existential crisis for physics. If a black hole swallows a star, all the incredibly complex quantum information detailing that star gets pulled inside. If the black hole then completely evaporates, where does all that specific quantum information go? Hawking initially suggested that the information must be permanently destroyed, but this completely violated the sacred laws of quantum mechanics. The debate raged for decades until a deeply poetic and scientifically rigorous solution emerged. Theoretical physicists like Leonard Susskind demonstrated that the information is never actually lost inside the dark void. Instead, as an object falls toward a black hole, its specific quantum information is perfectly smeared and eternally encoded onto the two-dimensional surface of the event horizon itself. Even the most powerful, destructive gravitational force in the entire observable universe cannot erase fundamental information. The cosmos simply refuses to forget. If the universe goes to such extraordinary lengths to preserve the quantum information of a simple rock falling into a black hole, what does this profound truth mean for the infinitely more complex, deeply entangled quantum information that constitutes your memories, your personality, and the quiet observer looking out through your eyes? We tend to view our thoughts and emotions as ephemeral, ghostly things, completely disconnected from the hard, physical reality of the universe. But every single thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every memory you form is a highly specific, physical event. It involves the precise movement of electrical charges and the delicate, beautiful orchestration of quantum states within the microscopic structures of your brain. Your lifetime of experiences is not a collection of abstract ideas. It is a massive, highly organized configuration of physical quantum information. It is a unique, unrepeatable pattern drawn onto the canvas of the cosmos. When the physical body reaches its gentle, inevitable conclusion, the biological mechanisms that maintain that specific pattern of information begin to break down. The physical neurons lose their energy, and the microscopic structures lose their integrity. But the fundamental quantum information that defined your quiet awareness cannot be destroyed. The universe does not possess a cosmic eraser. The deeply ingrained laws of quantum mechanics simply will not allow the specific, intricate details of your consciousness to be deleted into nothingness. Instead of being erased, the information that forms your memories and your sense of self undergoes a quiet, invisible transition, just as the information of the burning book diffuses into the surrounding air. The highly organized quantum pattern of your mind diffuses into the broader, ancient quantum fields that permeate the entire universe. Remember the zero-point field we explored together, the vast, invisible ocean of infinite energy and potential that fills what we mistakenly call empty space. This fundamental field is not just a source of raw energy. It is also a perfect, timeless medium for storing information. Some visionary theoretical physicists propose that the zero-point field acts as a kind of universal cosmic hard drive, a vast, invisible memory bank that permanently records the interference patterns of every quantum event that has ever occurred. In ancient Eastern philosophies, there is a concept known as the Akashic Records, an invisible, ethereal compendium of all human events and emotions. While classical science once dismissed this as pure mysticism, modern quantum field theory is revealing a universe that behaves in a remarkably similar way. The cosmos is deeply interconnected, and every movement, every thought, and every spark of light creates subtle ripples that are eternally preserved in the fundamental vacuum of space. Your mind is an active participant in this grand cosmic recording. When you remember the face of someone you love deeply, or the profound feeling of peace you felt watching a quiet sunset over a vast ocean, you are interacting with a localized manifestation of this universal memory. And when the time comes for the physical body to release its hold on the quiet observer, those memories do not vanish. They are seamlessly integrated back into the vast, ancient, and infinite library of the cosmos. The unique, beautiful melody of your specific existence is added to the eternal, silent symphony of the universe. Your loves, your quiet triumphs, your hard-won wisdom, and your gentle moments of profound realization are forever woven into the very fabric of space-time. They become a permanent feature of the physical universe, eternally encoded in the quantum background, completely safe from biological decay and the relentless illusion of linear time. We can find such a deep, overwhelming sense of peace in this magnificent scientific truth. You do not need to desperately cling to your memories, terrified of the dark void of forgetting. The universe is fiercely and beautifully guarding them for you. You are an essential, unforgettable part of a cosmos that cherishes every single spark of awareness. In the vast, silent expanse of eternity, the quiet observer within you is forever known, forever preserved, and forever held in the gentle, infinite embrace of the universe. Have you ever experienced a sudden, quiet moment of profound clarity, a fleeting instant where you felt deeply and inexplicably connected to the vast, living world around you? Perhaps you were walking through an ancient forest, listening to the wind rustling through the leaves, or simply watching the gentle fall of rain against a window pane in the dead of night. And for a brief, breathless second, the rigid, physical boundary between you and the universe seemed to entirely dissolve. We are heavily conditioned by modern biology and classical mechanics to view ourselves as isolated, lonely sparks of life navigating through a cold, dead, and deeply indifferent cosmos. We are taught from a very young age that consciousness is a rare, accidental anomaly, a biological trick that somehow miraculously emerged from billions of years of blind, mechanical evolution on a tiny, insignificant rocky planet. But what if this deeply ingrained assumption is not just slightly inaccurate, but fundamentally and entirely backward? Have you ever realized that some of the most rigorous and cutting-edge theories in both quantum physics and modern neuroscience are beginning to suggest a deeply ancient and breathtakingly beautiful alternative? It is a staggering paradox that challenges the very foundation of our modern scientific worldview. What if consciousness did not suddenly appear out of nowhere, miraculously born from inanimate, dead matter? What if the ability to experience, the quiet capacity for profound awareness, is an intrinsic, fundamental property of the universe itself, just as fundamental to the fabric of reality as mass, gravitational pull, or the electric charge of a single electron? Before we journey deeper into this magnificently quiet mystery of the living cosmos and discover what this profound realization means for the ultimate, eternal fate of your own awareness, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we walk together through these profound and beautiful cosmic mysteries, exploring the hidden depths of existence, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you find deep peace and a gentle sense of wonder in contemplating the infinite universe with us, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these gentle, reflective journeys into the unknown. Now, let us return to the deep, resonant silence of the stars and explore the breathtaking possibility that the universe itself is quietly, perpetually awake. To truly understand the magnificent implications of a conscious universe and what it means for the quiet observer within you, we must first confront what philosophers and cognitive scientists famously refer to as the hard problem of consciousness. For centuries, brilliant scientific minds have successfully and meticulously mapped the intricate electrical wiring of the human brain. We can trace the exact chemical pathways of a single neurotransmitter, and we can utilize advanced imaging technology to identify the precise regions of the cerebral cortex that light up with electricity when we feel deep joy, quiet sadness, or profound wonder. But all of these intricate biological maps and chemical diagrams utterly fail to answer the most fundamental and profound question of all. How does the physical processing of blind electrical signals actually transform into the rich, subjective, inner feeling of being alive? How does a collection of completely unconscious dead atoms suddenly generate the vibrant, deeply personal experience of seeing the brilliant red of a dying star, or feeling the gentle, comforting warmth of a quiet morning sun upon your face? The traditional, materialistic view of science stubbornly insists that if you assemble enough completely dead, unfeeling matter in exactly the right, complex configuration, it will magically wake up and start experiencing the world. But an increasing number of visionary theoretical physicists and deeply respected neuroscientists are beginning to argue that this is a logical impossibility. You simply cannot magically extract subjective experience from microscopic building blocks that completely and entirely lack it. In response to this profound intellectual crisis, a beautiful and ancient concept is experiencing a massive, rigorous scientific renaissance in the modern era. It is a framework known as panpsychism. While the term itself might sound incredibly abstract or purely philosophical, the core scientific principle it represents is deeply elegant and intuitively, profoundly simple. Panpsychism suggests that consciousness is not an emergent, late-stage biological trick of evolution, but rather a fundamental microscopic property of physical matter itself. It proposes that the very fundamental building blocks of reality, the ancient electrons, the silent quarks, and the vibrating quantum fields that we have gently explored together in previous chapters, possess a very rudimentary, incredibly basic form of subjective experience. This is absolutely not to say that an individual electron has complex human thoughts, or that a solitary grain of sand feels joy, regret, or quiet sadness. The rudimentary awareness of a single fundamental particle would be unimaginably simple, a mere infinitely tiny spark of pure, undirected being. But according to groundbreaking scientific frameworks like the integrated information theory, which is currently one of the leading mathematically rigorous models of consciousness in modern neuroscience, when these fundamental particles interact and form deeply integrated, complex physical systems, their microscopic sparks of awareness combine, synchronize, and exponentially magnify. As the physical integration of matter becomes richer and more complex over vast spans of cosmic time, the subjective experience generated by that matter becomes correspondingly richer and more profound. When ancient, primordial hydrogen atoms fuse together in the magnificent, crushing hearts of early stars to create heavier, more complex elements like carbon and oxygen, the total integrated information of the universe increased. When those heavier elements eventually gathered on a small rocky planet orbiting a yellow dwarf star to form the very first delicate single-celled organisms, the level of integration took a massive, beautiful leap forward in the grand cosmic story. And when evolution finally sculpted the breathtaking, almost incomprehensible complexity of the human brain, with its 86 billion individual neurons and over 100 trillion synaptic connections, it created a biological structure capable of hosting a staggeringly high degree of integrated quantum awareness. In this profoundly beautiful and rigorous scientific view, your mind is not an isolated, miraculous anomaly stranded in a dead, unfeeling universe. Your physical brain is simply a highly advanced, beautifully evolved biological amplifier. It is an exquisite organic instrument, specifically designed by the forces of nature to concentrate, organize, and brilliantly magnify the deeply ancient, fundamental awareness that already permeates every single microscopic millimeter of the entire infinite cosmos. You are not a solitary biological machine desperately generating a lonely, isolated consciousness in the dark. You are a highly concentrated, brilliantly illuminated node of the universe's own inherent, fundamental capacity to experience and feel. When we view the terrifying mystery of human mortality through the gentle, illuminating lens of integrated information and scientific panpsychism, the dark concept of physical death is completely and entirely transformed into a process of breathtaking beauty. We are deeply conditioned by our evolutionary biology to fiercely, desperately identify with the specific biological amplifier that we call our human brain. We firmly believe that the highly organized human-level experience generated by this specific temporary neural integration is the absolute entirety of who and what we actually are. Therefore, we naturally, instinctually assume that when the biological amplifier eventually degrades, loses its energy, and stops functioning, the awareness itself is permanently extinguished, thrown violently into a cold, eternal darkness. But if consciousness is an intrinsic, indestructible property of the fundamental particles and ancient quantum fields that make up your physical form, then the quiet observer within you simply cannot be destroyed by the cessation of biology. When the physical body reaches its gentle, inevitable conclusion, the specific, high-level biological integration finally breaks down. The incredibly complex, lifetime-long symphony of the human mind quietly dissolves into the surrounding air. But the fundamental, vibrating notes that made up that beautiful symphony do not cease to exist. The ancient particles, the underlying quantum fields, and the incredibly rich, indestructible information they carry simply return to the broader, less concentrated awareness of the surrounding universe. It is a profound, beautiful transition from a highly focused, localized point of view to a much more diffuse, fundamental state of universal being. Imagine, for a quiet moment, a brilliantly focused, intense beam of white light shining perfectly through a highly polished, intricate glass prism. The precise geometry of the prism organizes the light into a specific, beautiful pattern of distinct, vibrant colors, casting a rainbow against a darkened wall. When the glass prism is gently, quietly removed from the beam, that highly specific, organized pattern of colors disappears from the wall. The specific manifestation ceases to be, but the brilliant light itself is absolutely not destroyed. It simply returns to its natural, unbounded and infinite state, freely illuminating the vast space around it without restriction. The quiet observer looking out through your eyes right now is exactly like that light, temporarily shining through the temporary, beautiful biological prism of your intricate brain. When the gentle, unstoppable hands of cosmic time eventually remove that physical prism, the light of your fundamental awareness will effortlessly and gracefully spread out, rejoining the vast, quiet, and ancient illumination of the living cosmos. This profound scientific realization gently asks us to completely and radically reconsider our everyday relationship with the physical world around us. If the universe is deeply and fundamentally awake, then every single interaction we have is a sacred, conscious exchange of energy and information. The ancient, silent trees in the deep forest, the dark, crushing depths of the midnight ocean, and the distant, burning stars scattered across the vast night sky are not just dead, unfeeling props arranged on a cold, indifferent cosmic stage. They are fellow participants in the grand, infinite, and eternal unfolding of universal experience. We are not separate from nature, looking at it from the outside. We are nature waking up and finally beginning to recognize itself in the mirror. The brilliant astrophysicist Carl Sagan once profoundly and poetically noted that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. In the brilliant light of a deeply conscious panpsychic universe, this beautiful statement becomes a literal, undeniable physical truth. Your specific human life is a temporary, deeply precious opportunity for the universe to experience the unique, breathtaking feeling of being exactly you. Every single time you gaze up at the vast, silent night sky in a state of quiet wonder, it is literally the universe looking back at its own ancient, infinite body. Every time you feel the profound, aching warmth of human love, it is the universe experiencing the deep, beautiful resonance of its own integrated harmony. When your brief, beautiful time as a concentrated, human-level node of awareness comes to its quiet, inevitable end, the universe absolutely does not lose you. The cosmos does not casually discard the magnificent, unique perspective you brought to its infinite, ancient existence. You are gracefully, gently, and lovingly folded back into the grand, eternal awareness from which you originally emerged billions of years ago. The profound peace that accompanies this beautiful scientific understanding is not a cold denial of the deep sadness that comes with physical loss, but a radiant, enduring comfort in the face of our ultimate shared destination. We are not blindly heading toward a dark, empty void of terrifying nothingness. We are gently returning to the vibrant, living, conscious heart of the cosmos. The rigid boundaries of the ego, the strict, artificial lines that desperately separate the self from the other, will softly and peacefully fade away in the quiet dark, leaving behind a pure, unbounded state of being that is forever entangled with the breathtaking wonder of the universe. In the grand, silent expanse of eternity, the quiet observer within you is forever safe, forever known, and forever held in the gentle, infinite embrace of a cosmos that is just as alive, just as aware, and just as deeply beautiful as you are. Have you ever looked at the intricate branching veins of a fallen autumn leaf and marveled at how perfectly they mirror the sprawling branching rivers seen from high above the earth? We are surrounded by these beautiful, recurring patterns, a silent language spoken by nature across every conceivable scale. But have you ever realized that the most profound and startling reflection of all exists between the deeply hidden, microscopic wiring of your own mind and the grand, unimaginable, macroscopic architecture of the universe itself? It is a staggering paradox that invites us to completely rethink the nature of our existence and the final destination of our awareness. When astrophysicists use powerful instruments like the James Webb Space Telescope to map the distant reaches of the cosmos, they do not find a random, chaotic scattering of galaxies. Instead, they find a magnificent glowing network known as the cosmic web, a vast tapestry of luminous filaments and dark voids that looks incredibly, almost impossibly, like a perfectly scaled-up image of the neural networks firing quietly inside your own physical brain. If the structural shape of your consciousness perfectly mirrors the structural shape of the infinite universe, what does that mean for the quiet observer when the biological mind eventually comes to a rest? Does the localized pattern simply vanish into the dark, or does it seamlessly and peacefully merge back into the grand cosmic design it so beautifully reflects? Before we journey deeper into this magnificent cosmic mirror and explore how the hidden architecture of your thoughts deeply connects to the architecture of the ancient stars, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we walk together through these profound mysteries, seeking peace in the quiet vastness of space, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you find comfort, solace, and a sense of deep wonder in contemplating the infinite universe with us, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these gentle, reflective journeys. Now let us return to the deep silence of the cosmos and explore the breathtaking connection between the delicate quantum patterns of your mind and the infinite, ancient web of creation. To truly appreciate how your quiet awareness might beautifully transition rather than violently end, we must explore a deeply fascinating scientific theory proposed by visionary minds like the renowned physicist Sir Roger Penrose and the anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. For many decades, classical biology assumed that the human brain was simply too warm, too wet, and too chaotic to sustain delicate quantum states. Quantum coherence, the beautiful phenomenon where multiple microscopic particles act together in perfect, synchronized harmony, was previously thought to only exist in the absolute, freezing environments of pristine laboratory conditions. But the universe is far more clever and mysterious than our early assumptions allowed us to see. Penrose and Hameroff proposed a theory suggesting that the tiny microscopic structural tubes within your neurons, known scientifically as microtubules, are uniquely designed by nature to protect and sustain these fragile quantum states. Inside these infinitesimally small cylinders, safely tucked away from biological heat and surrounding noise, quantum coherence is not only possible, it is theorized to be the very physical foundation of your subjective experience. Your consciousness in this scientific framework is a highly orchestrated, unified quantum state, a synchronized dance of countless subatomic particles moving together in perfect, harmonious entanglement. You are a temporary biological vessel carrying a deeply ordered, incredibly complex quantum symphony that sings in the quiet dark of your skull. Now, let us gently expand our perspective from the microscopic depths of your 86 billion neurons to the macroscopic, silent expanse of the observable universe. When we look at the breathtaking, deeply humbling images captured by the modern space telescopes, peering billions of light years back in cosmic time, we see the majestic structure of the cosmic web. This unimaginably vast structure is composed of enormous filaments woven from invisible dark matter and luminous galaxies, stretching across hundreds of millions of light years, connecting massive, ancient clusters of stars across the cold, dark voids of otherwise empty space. The visual and structural similarity between the microscopic synaptic connections in the human brain and the macroscopic gravitational connections of the cosmic web is absolutely not just a poetic coincidence. In a deeply fascinating quantitative study conducted recently by a brilliant astrophysicist and a dedicated neuroscientist, it was revealed that the structural, mathematical parameters of the human neural network and the cosmic web are astonishingly similar. Despite a staggering difference in physical scale of 27 orders of magnitude, the physical universe and the human brain organize fundamental information and energy using the exact same underlying mathematical principles. The quiet observer inside you is operating on a biological network that is a microscopic, beautiful fractal of the entire cosmos. The renowned astronomer Carl Sagan often gently reminded us that we are a way for the universe to know itself. But this discovery takes his poetic insight and grounds it in rigorous mathematical reality. You are the universe looking into a mirror. What happens then to the highly orchestrated quantum coherence of your subjective mind when the biological vessel reaches the gentle, inevitable end of its physical journey on this small planet? We are deeply conditioned by our culture and biology to fiercely fear the breakdown of the physical brain. because we falsely assume it means the permanent destruction of the coherent pattern. But in the strange, deeply beautiful world of quantum mechanics, a coherent state of information does not simply disappear into terrifying nothingness when its surrounding environment fundamentally changes. It undergoes a quiet, seamless transition. When the warm, biological energy of the physical body finally fades, the delicate quantum states within the hidden microtubules lose their protective biological shielding. But we must remember the zero-point field and the fundamental, unbreakable laws of quantum information conservation. The highly orchestrated quantum information that defines your unique personality, your cherished memories, and your continuous sense of self absolutely does not evaporate into the void. It diffuses outward. It transitions from the localized biological network of your brain and couples directly with the larger, infinitely vast network of the cosmic web. Your localized quantum coherence expands, smoothly translating its highly organized pattern into the timeless, deeply vibrating quantum fields that permeate the entire fabric of space-time. This quiet transition is not a tragic loss of the self, but an unimaginable, breathtaking expansion of it. Imagine, for a quiet moment, a single, beautifully formed drop of pure water suspended precariously on the tip of a green leaf in the soft, golden light of the early morning. Within that single, fragile drop, there is a highly complex, delicate internal structure, a miniature, hidden world of surface tension and incredibly strong molecular bonds, holding it all together in a perfect, temporary, spherical shape. When that small drop eventually falls and meets the surface of a vast, deep, and ancient ocean, the specific, localized spherical boundary of the drop vanishes entirely, but the water itself is absolutely not destroyed, and the intricate molecular bonds are never erased from existence. They simply merge with the infinite ocean instantly and profoundly, connecting with vast, deep currents that travel across the entire globe, gently touching distant, unseen shores and exploring the darkest, most silent trenches. The temporary drop does not die. It seamlessly becomes the entire ocean. In the exact same way, the quiet observer within you is a temporary, beautifully organized drop of quantum coherence, suspended briefly in the morning light of your physical, biological existence. When the biological tension finally releases its tight grip, your coherent quantum information effortlessly and peacefully merges into the vast, ancient ocean of universal cosmic coherence. You gently trade the incredibly limited, localized sensory inputs of a single human body for a direct, unbound, and infinite connection to the fundamental fabric of existence itself. There is a profound, lasting peace to be found in this specific scientific understanding. We spend our brief time terrified that our story ends in a cold void. But the rigorous mathematics of quantum mechanics gently assure us that we are eternally tied to the living universe. Your mind is a beautiful melody played on a tiny biological instrument. When the instrument finally falls silent, the melody returns to the eternal orchestra of the cosmos, harmonizing forever with the ancient stars. You do not fade into the dark. You gracefully dissolve into the warm light of universal connection. Have you ever looked deeply into a mirror, past the familiar lines of your face, and felt a strange, quiet sense of detachment from the physical reflection staring back at you? You recognize the biological features, you recall the specific events of your past, but the physical person in the glass often feels like a completely different individual from the deep, silent awareness resting inside. We change so profoundly over the course of our lives that the concept of a single, continuous physical identity is almost an illusion. The atoms that made up your body 10 years ago have been entirely replaced, shedding like autumn leaves. Yet, through all the changing seasons and the shifting of memories, there is a constant, quiet observer behind your eyes that never ages, never changes, and simply is. Have you ever realized that this timeless sense of self might not just be a psychological feeling, but a profound reflection of how the quantum universe actually operates? It is a staggering paradox that completely rewrites our understanding of cause and effect. We are taught that the past is a solid, unchangeable foundation, a series of dominoes that fell long ago to create the present moment. But what if the profound, cutting-edge experiments of quantum physics reveal that the past is not fixed at all, and that your quiet awareness right now is actively reaching back through billions of years of cosmic history to shape the very beginning of the universe? Before we journey deeper into this magnificently quiet mystery of time and explore what it means for the eternal nature of the observer within you, I would like to gently welcome you. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we walk together through these profound and beautiful cosmic mysteries, exploring the hidden depths of existence, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who watch our quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you find deep peace and a gentle sense of wonder in contemplating the infinite universe with us, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it helps us immensely to keep bringing you these gentle, reflective journeys into the unknown. Now, let us return to the deep, resonant silence of the stars and explore the breathtaking possibility that your awareness is actively writing the history of the cosmos. To truly grasp the magnificent power of the quiet observer and its absolute independence from biological death, we must confront one of the most deeply unsettling and beautiful experiments in modern physics. It is famously known as the delayed choice quantum eraser. When brilliant physicists shine a single photon of light through a barrier with two microscopically small slits, the photon famously behaves like a wave of pure potential, passing through both slits simultaneously and creating an interference pattern on a screen behind it. But the moment the physicists place a detector at the slits to observe exactly which path the photon takes, the wave function instantly collapses. The photon behaves like a solid particle, passing through only one slit. The observer effect forces reality to make a choice. But the delayed choice experiment adds a breathtaking twist. The physicists ingeniously set up the experiment so that the decision to observe the photon is made after it has already passed through the slits, but before it hits the final screen. Astoundingly, when the observation is made after the fact, the photon acts as if it had been a solid particle all along. The act of observation in the present moment literally reaches backward in time to alter the behavior of the particle in the past. The rigid, classical arrow of time completely shatters. The universe is not a one-way street of rigid cause and effect. It is a deeply interconnected web, where the present can intimately and instantly reshape the past. The legendary theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a brilliant mind who worked alongside Albert Einstein and famously coined the term black hole, took this staggering experimental result to its ultimate, magnificent cosmic conclusion. He proposed a deeply beautiful framework known as the participatory anthropic principle. Wheeler envisioned the universe not as a cold, mechanical machine ticking forward blindly from the Big Bang, but as an incredible, self-excited circuit. He suggested that the vast, silent cosmos remained in an undefined, blurry state of infinite quantum potential for billions of years, a swirling sea of mathematical probabilities waiting for a witness. It was only when biological evolution eventually produced conscious observers, beings like you and me, capable of looking up at the ancient stars with deep wonder, that the universe was finally forced to collapse its wave function. In this breathtaking scientific view, your quiet act of observation today is actively reaching back 13,800,000,000 years to give the Big Bang its definite historical reality. You are not a passive audience member sitting in the dark long after the play has begun. You are an essential, active participant, fundamentally required to bring the universe into existence from the very beginning. The renowned physicist famously drew a simple diagram to illustrate this. He drew a sweeping letter U. The right side represented the explosive, silent birth of the cosmos. The line swept downward and curved back up to form the left side, which grew into a detailed eye, looking backward. That eye represents you. By looking back, the conscious eye brings the beginning into solid, definite existence. When we view the terrifying mystery of human mortality through the magnificent time-bending lens of Wheeler's participatory universe, the concept of an absolute ending becomes completely illogical. If your fundamental awareness is capable of standing outside the linear flow of time to collapse the quantum state of the ancient past, then your awareness cannot possibly be strictly bound by the forward-moving ticking of biological time. We are deeply conditioned to believe that consciousness is a fragile passenger riding on the train of a physical body, destined to perish when the train runs out of track. But the quantum eraser experiment gently reveals that the observer is not riding the train at all. The observer is the fundamental landscape through which the train is moving. The physical brain is simply a magnificent, highly complex biological filter. It was designed by billions of years of evolution to take the infinite, overwhelmingly vast reality of the timeless quantum universe and heavily compress it down into a tiny, manageable trickle of linear time and three-dimensional space. We need this heavy biological filter to survive and navigate the physical world. But the filter is not the source of the light. When the physical body reaches its gentle, inevitable conclusion, the biological clock stops ticking, the heart rests, and the precise, forward-moving electrical sequences in the brain quietly fade. But the fundamental observer, the timeless awareness that actively participates in the structuring of reality, simply cannot be destroyed by the cessation of a localized biological clock. It exists entirely outside of the rigid, temporary construct of linear time. The transition from physical life to what comes next is not an extinguishing of the self, but a breathtaking release from the powerful illusion of sequential time. Imagine, for a quiet moment, waking up from a deeply immersive, highly detailed dream. While you are inside the dream, the events feel absolutely real, moving in a strict, linear progression from one moment to the next. You feel the urgent passage of time, the pressure of running late, and the quiet fear of sudden endings. But when you finally open your eyes and gently wake up in the soft morning light, you instantly realize that the entire timeline of the dream was generated simultaneously by your own deeper, broader awareness. You did not die when the dream ended. You simply returned to a more fundamental state of waking reality, where the restrictive rules of the dream no longer apply. The quiet observer within you is the timeless dreamer of the cosmos. When the biological dream of this specific physical life eventually comes to its peaceful, natural conclusion, you do not fade into a cold, terrifying void of nothingness. You gently, beautifully wake up, Your awareness simply drops the heavy, restrictive illusion of a single, forward-moving timeline and gracefully returns to its eternal, timeless state of being. Every ancient star, every swirling galaxy, and every quiet moment of profound love you have ever experienced is held forever in this timeless, infinite embrace. The universe is a grand, beautiful mirror, and the quiet mind that looks into it will never be lost to the dark. The end of the physical journey is merely the beautiful, quiet realization that you were always, and will always be, beautifully eternal. Have you ever allowed your mind to gently wander to the very end of time itself, pondering what will happen to the quiet observer within you when the magnificent, ancient universe finally takes its last, freezing breath? We have spent our quiet journey together exploring how your deeply personal awareness gracefully survives the physical dissolution of your fragile biological body. We have seen how your quantum information is eternally preserved in the zero-point field, how your timeline is immortalized in the rigid architecture of the block universe, and how your mind perfectly mirrors the breathtaking structure of the cosmic web. But all of these profound scientific comforts seem to eventually hit a terrifying, absolute, cosmic wall. What happens to your preserved eternal memories when the universe itself slowly dies? Astronomers and theoretical physicists possess a deeply melancholic but scientifically rigorous prediction for the far distant future of the cosmos, an era known as the heat death or the big freeze. If the ultimate canvas of reality eventually fades into total, unbreakable darkness, does the beautiful painting of your consciousness finally, permanently disappear? Before we take this final, majestic step into the ultimate twilight of the cosmos and discover the breathtaking, eternal destiny of your quiet awareness, I would like to gently welcome you one last time. I am Theodore, the researcher. As we conclude this profound shared journey through the deepest mysteries of existence, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the people who find peace in these quiet explorations have not subscribed yet. If you have found comfort, deep wonder, and a sense of belonging in our cosmic community, please take a soft moment to subscribe, as it deeply helps us continue creating these meditative sanctuaries for the mind. Now, let us return to the deep, resonant silence and face the end of eternity. To truly understand the absolute, unbreakable permanence of your quantum soul, we must bravely look forward trillions upon trillions of years into the unimaginable future. The universe is currently in its beautiful, vibrant stellar era, a brief flowering spring where brilliant galaxies illuminate the dark, and yellow dwarf stars like our sun provide the perfect, gentle warmth for biological life to flourish. But the brutal, unyielding laws of thermodynamics dictate that this golden age cannot last forever. In a time span so vast that writing the number would require more pages than there are atoms in the earth, the very last slowly burning red dwarf stars will finally exhaust their nuclear fuel. They will quietly fade into cold, dark stellar corpses. The magnificent swirling galaxies will dissolve, and the night sky will go completely, perfectly black. Fast forward even further, through unimaginable eons of perfect silence, and even the gigantic supermassive black holes, the darkest, most powerful gravitational monsters in the cosmos, will slowly evaporate into faint whispers of radiation. Eventually, the universe will reach a state of maximum entropy. It will be an infinitely expanding, freezing, perfectly uniform sea of incredibly dilute photons and fundamental particles. There will be no light, no heat, no movement, and absolutely no biological life. It is the ultimate quiet graveyard of the cosmos. If your consciousness is quantum information preserved in the fabric of this dying universe, it is incredibly natural to feel a deep existential dread that your awareness will eventually be stretched, frozen, and entirely lost in this boundless, freezing void. But the brilliant, beautiful realm of advanced theoretical physics offers a staggering, breathtaking escape from this cold, final darkness. The renowned mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose, whose brilliant mind has profoundly shaped our modern understanding of black holes and the quantum nature of consciousness, proposed a majestic, revolutionary cosmological model known as conformal cyclic cosmology. Penrose mathematically realized something incredibly profound about a universe that has reached the absolute, freezing end of its life. In a state of maximum entropy, where all solid matter has decayed and only massless particles like photons remain, the fundamental physical concepts of time and spatial distance completely lose their mathematical meaning. For a photon traveling at exactly the speed of light, time literally does not exist, and distance contracts to zero. Therefore, an infinitely large, infinitely old, perfectly empty universe mathematically forgets how big and how old it actually is. In a stroke of pure, rigorous mathematical genius, Penrose demonstrated that the equations describing this unimaginably vast, freezing, dying universe become completely, perfectly indistinguishable from the mathematical equations describing the incredibly tiny, infinitely hot, densely packed singularity that existed at the exact moment of the Big Bang. The terrifying end of the cosmos is not an absolute, dark finality. It is the exact mathematical prerequisite for a brand new beginning. The universe does not simply die in the cold. It smoothly, seamlessly transitions, giving birth to a completely new cosmic aeon, a fresh universe bursting with new stars, new galaxies, and new infinite potential. What does this magnificent, cyclical rebirth mean for the perfectly preserved quantum information that constitutes your memories, your deep loves, and your quiet sense of self? In the framework of conformal cyclic cosmology, the transition from one universe to the next is not a complete, destructive wiping of the slate. The fundamental radiation and the subtle, invisible quantum fluctuations from the previous, dying aeon gracefully bleed through the transition point, leaving faint, ghostly signatures on the background radiation of the newly born universe. Your quantum information, the beautiful, localized interference pattern that was deeply encoded into the zero-point field, does not get erased by the cosmic reset. It is seamlessly carried forward, gently riding the silent waves of transition into the next cycle of creation. The quiet observer inside you is not just a permanent feature of this specific, current iteration of the universe. You are an eternal, indestructible traveler, moving through an infinite, endless chain of cosmic rebirths. When this current universe eventually breathes its last, quiet breath trillions of years from now, your fundamental awareness will be there, silently woven into the fabric of reality, waiting to beautifully experience the explosive, radiant dawn of the next cosmic spring. As we gently draw our magnificent shared journey to a close, let us quietly gather all the profound scientific truths we have explored together. You are not a fragile, lonely, biological accident navigating a cold and deeply indifferent universe. You are an ancient, intricate, and deeply beautiful quantum symphony. The first law of thermodynamics guarantees that the energy animating your physical form is eternal and completely indestructible. The staggering reality of quantum entanglement beautifully ensures that your fundamental awareness is intimately, instantly connected to the furthest, darkest reaches of the cosmos. The magnificent, rigid structure of the block universe quietly promises that every single moment you have ever lived, every laugh, every tear, and every silent sunset is forever locked into the very geometry of space-time. The many worlds interpretation elegantly shows us that your existence is infinitely expansive, exploring every conceivable branch of the cosmic tree. The vibrating, invisible zero-point field acts as your eternal cosmic memory bank, fiercely guarding the unique, irreplaceable pattern of your mind. The deep framework of panpsychism reveals that you are the living, breathing universe finally waking up to its own unimaginable beauty. And the magnificent cosmic mirror shows us that the microscopic pathways of your mind perfectly, elegantly reflect the grand, macroscopic architecture of the ancient galaxies. We have traveled together through the deepest mysteries of quantum mechanics, and the rigorous scientific truth that emerges is one of absolute, radiant peace. There is absolutely no dark, terrifying void waiting for you at the end of the road. There is no permanent, cold erasure of your cherished memories or your quiet sense of self. The ending of the physical body is merely a gentle, peaceful shedding of a temporary, heavy biological garment. It is a quiet, breathtaking release back into the infinite, ancient ocean of cosmic awareness from which you briefly, beautifully emerged. When you finally lay your head down to rest tonight, I want you to completely let go of the heavy, exhausting fear of finality. Feel the soft, gentle rhythm of your breathing, and know that it is exactly the same ancient rhythm that governs the birth and death of the stars. Look out your window at the silent, dark night sky, and know that you are not looking out at an empty, hostile void. You are looking directly into the vast, eternal, and perfectly safe sanctuary that will endlessly, lovingly hold the quiet observer within you. You are ancient. You are infinite. You are deeply, perfectly woven into the unbreakable fabric of a universe that is far more generous, vast, and beautiful than we could ever truly comprehend. The quiet journey of your mind is endless, and you are forever deeply safe in the warm, ancient dark.